Welcome back, everybody, to the Hearthstone Grand Prix here at DreamHack Winter 2015. It's time to continue through the round of 16. We have two more matches today, and the next one coming up is Purple from Gamers Origin versus a youngster named Dragonalbert. I am Nimsh. I'm joined by, I am Frodan. And I'm joined by Nimsh.
I am Frodan. And we're here with Love.
No, I'm just Raven.
Okay.
I'm just me.
Okay, cool. My bad. I just had an identity crisis on stream. So I am Frodan. I'm joined by Nimsh and Raven. And Nimsh, you were doing such a good job, like getting to know some of these players, but you were taking a particular notice towards Dragonalbert, or I mean, we'll just call him Albert, maybe for short. And you were just really getting to know him, and you're just learning that he's just like this young guy who's really loves Hearthstone and just playing some of it. Just what do you really expect his chances are against a really strong player like Purple?
Well, I did ask him, how do you feel versus Purple? Because, a lot of players can get intimidated when they play versus NA champion at this tournament. This is his first LAN experience as well. And he said, I'm just going to crush him. And he said, old bones break easily. And Purple was
Purple's like 24. It's like, come on, man. He's not even that old.
Well, he's older than Albert for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Albert's 16. I mean, he's kind of like that character in Pokemon who always keeps calling you about his Rattata. It's like he's like youngster Joey, literally. It's like, shorts are the best. I love Hearthstone.
He's a really cheerful, funny guy. Like I mentioned him before. He was the first to get to top 16, and he was just like jumping in and being super happy about it.
Yeah. And also, you mentioned that he seemed to have dodged all the big names in the tournament, so no one really knows what decks he's playing either, which is crazy. And on the flip side of that, everyone knows Purple very well, as you said, NA champion, and he's actually been on stream before. So, and I think everyone's been talking about the run he's gone with his Malilock deck, which is really one of the breakout decks here.
Yeah,
it's just gone. He's absolutely stomped with it. But knowing already, because Warlock, especially at the moment, has even more slight variations on decks it can run. But knowing straight away, right? Well, I know it's Malilock. I know it runs Bran. So you can sort of that extra information is really important.
The irony, guys.
Yeah, that is
Purple,
really big.
Yeah, that's really big. But imagine the irony where Purple's main deck is Dragon Warlock, and now he has to face Dragonalbert to advance to the top 8.
Well, I think it's also a little bit funny that they consider Purple from France. I mean, he is part of the French community, but he also hails from Canada, so he's representing both NA and EU. He's one of these interesting. I just want to say ambassadors on both the French and the NA side of stuff. And, Purple comes in here as a very interesting player these days. He has been very good against a lot of decks with the Dragon Warlock, but none more interesting than Control Warrior, which is a fantastic matchup against this deck. Because your burn is not so powerful to end the game, you have to be very minion focused. And I am interested to see if he can ride this momentum. And he just picked up the Bloodsail Corsair, a weapon removal. And I don't know if Dragonalbert will be anticipating that, so to speak.
What's interesting about Albert's hand is that he has Justicar in hand already. So that's going to be really important because one of the win conditions for Malilock is to do a huge burst at the end. But if we've seen some matchups like when Warriors can just go probably past 50, 60 health. Even, you see Warrior mirrors that go up to like over 100 health. But even like 50, 60 health is pretty reasonable, especially with Trueheart on 6. So he might just have the game plan, knowing it's Malygos lock, to just say, I am going to just have more health than you can burst. And hopefully he can deal with the minions on board, because the other win condition for Malilock is actually just the minion beatdown style.
Yeah, absolutely. So Purple just needs to get those minions and play them and start doing damage. But on the other hand, Dragonalbert actually has all the answers. He has shield stamps, he has executes, and a Justicar to buy himself even more time.
Even a brawl, worst case scenario.
Absolutely,
so there's a lot of answers here. So it's going to be really interesting to see which one can actually push ahead a little more and get the advantage.
Both these guys drew, I would say, rather poorly in the early game. The whole purpose of Purple's deck was to curve out very strongly, and the fact that he didn't have a 4-mana play with Twilight Guardian or Twilight Drake, on top of the fact that Dragonalbert didn't get any weapons early on or any, acolytes and other ways to cycle through his deck, so they both had just hero power. And I'm not sure. I feel like in the end, that does end up helping the Dragon Warlock a lot, because now all of a sudden the minions are more relevant. Like, how do you actually kill off this Twilight Drake now? It can actually fight without being executed immediately.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you do have the removal cards, so Sludge Belcher is pretty good because it can deal 3 damage to the Twilight Drake, and then with 7, it should be manageable, especially if you pick up some more armor gain maybe. And even with True Heart, like you don't have to use the shield stumps now. Maybe the board will be good enough to brawl and then use True Heart later. And then armor is never a problem after you play True Heart.
Yeah, and especially because at the moment, unless like a strong Emperor turn happens, then like it's really difficult to play Malygos and then play spells the same turn. So if he plays Malygos and the Warrior's on like 20 armor, he's just like, yeah, okay, Shield Slam, done. So that really does remove a big threat, which is why, as we said earlier, I think Purple needs to focus on the beatdown aspect of the deck and just get those big minions and hope he just burns through Albert's removal quick enough, or he just hasn't drawn it.
Yeah, it's fascinating that Purple, he even played around Shield Maiden, Shield Slam on his Twilight Drake, which is rather impressive. And now he's instead, because he's Blackwing Corruptor in this way, he's given up his little Dark Peddler, and he didn't end up using the Mortal Coil, so he has a couple of interesting resources that I wasn't anticipating him having. And now he's going to go for the good old Big Game Hunter combination here. For just a lot of board tempo. And this is okay because you're like, wait, hold on. He has VGH. He has so many other targets. He's playing Control Warrior. Purple plays 2 Big Game Hunters specifically in this deck. So he can use the first one for tempo in this way. It'll force a lot of pressure onto the Control Warrior. And the closer that Purple can tap into Emperor Thorson, the better. Meanwhile, in Dragonalbert's land, he's starting to now pick up some of his small removal pieces, but it's starting to look a little awkward.
Yeah, I think he's really lacking a weapon. I mean, I know we can see that there's like a partial answer to it in Purple's hand, but a Deathbite would be really useful at the moment, just to start, helping out with that removal.
Can you Geddon? Like with Geddon, you deal with 2 minions, and then you kind of go 1 by 1 into the 5/4.
Maybe Shield Maiden, Shield Slam is still the better option here because you lose the Geddon for free and you're damaging yourself.
But you're killing 2 cards with that. Actually 3 cards, so it's kind of like 1 for free. And not entirely because Big Game Hunter was used to deal with the minion before.
Okay.
But I think mainly he probably wouldn't have played it if he'd not seen any Big Game Hunters, but seeing 1 so early, just playing the odds that he doesn't have the second one, so it required the minion removal in itself. And all this is doing is he's just trying to slow the game down and slow Purple down so he can start sort of cashing in on True Heart's hero power buff.
Yeah, absolutely. And the aim for Warrior is basically to survive the Warlocks runs out of cards, just to deal with all the threats.
Yeah, it'll realistically be like Warlock is 5, 6, maybe even 7 cards ahead in the fatigue battle.
Yeah.
So it's not like Purple can win a war of attrition. He doesn't have Reno Jax in his deck. I guess the best that he can utilize the Brand Bronzebeard, in my opinion, is through like either some of the really powerful health gains on the Twilight Drake, excuse me, or in the off chance of like, I don't know, maybe he removes a full weapon that way. It's really interesting stuff.
For now, he's going for the board extension, and that might be the roll board actually.
What's interesting is though, like he's doing enough and not overcommitting too much to cause a problem, except it is burning through the removal, and the Warrior's only got so much, and it's because the Warlock on top of the Malygos finisher has these massive minions as well. Like, it's not a game like the Control Warrior Mirror where you literally can afford to just sit and just hero power every turn. So you've got to actually proactively remove these minions.
Well, Brawl, I mean, it might be one of the better Brawl turns, but you're still not required to. You can Shield Slam 1 minion, and then you can even Shield Slam the Twilight Guardian, and then go ahead and play a second Shield Maiden, so that way you don't really miss anything on curve, while you're able to still remove stuff. I think you want to eliminate the Azure Drake as a priority, generally speaking, though, because the spell power does make things really relevant, like a 4 damage Dark Bomb. A 2 damage Mortal Coil. All these things are really annoying.
Yeah, I mean, you could have Shield Maiden, Shield Slam there, right?
You could have.
So to remove the Guardian and then trade the other one into the Drake and just leave the 5-1 and the 5-5 on the board versus the 3-3. But that is quite susceptible to AoE. That's the problem.
Yeah, this makes Hellfire really good in a matchup where it's kind of trashy, to be honest. Like, Hellfire generally is not a very good card.
You don't normally see Warrior with 4 minions on the board, right? Control Warrior, anyway.
Look at this clear.
That spell
cycle.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. But on the other hand, I can understand Dragonalbert. He just wanted to put as many threats on the board because he's running out of cards, and using the Shield Slam You want to shoot some later as well, especially because he used one shoot some and execute already.
Yep.
So if there's something big, he would not have a way to deal with it. Only the brawl.
Okay, I actually like this owl because then you can squeeze in a life tap. And then he can finally use Blackwing Corruptor. But this is definitely a brawl-ish board. So Purple probably will not extend a little bit farther into it.
Yeah, but on the other hand,
double
Second brawl.
Second brawl.
He's
Yes,
got no follow-up.
that's
the-
something
yeah.
something I actually expected from this deck because it's so control heavy that double brawl makes sense as well. But if there is a Blackwing Corruptor surviving this, Purple did not.
Oh,
lose that
man.
match.
What did you just say? Nick?
Yeah, that's a really good
Yikes.
outcome
If
for
that
Purple.
card survives,
Yeah, because then it'd be like 2 shield slams and an execute use. Maybe Malygos is starting to get strong. That's an insane
okay.
card.
Man.
look at the value.
Yeah,
And even the 0 mana Pirate is actually really good.
Yeah,
to just play
oops.
that whenever you want.
Oops.
And he has all the combo parts almost because he has Sulfar, he has Dark Bomb, and he has Malygos.
Yeah, this is dangerous.
With-
How far away is he from lethal, actually?
Let's see. Well, let's assume that he can attack with everything. That's 14, and then he's got 17 burst. So 17 plus the 14 is 31. His
31.
opponent's at 33 right now.
But he can actually
Wow.
pick up a Soulfire, and then there's a chance to add even 9 more.
He only runs one so far.
One Soulfire, double Dark Bomb.
But if he has like a Dark Peddler that draws into a second Soulfire, then he can keep both of those for a full 10 mana turn, and then that's 26.
Or even like a Power Overwhelming would help as well.
Yeah, Power Overwhelming might have some
Not quite as
burst.
good as the spell, of course, with Malygos down, but
Sure.
still an extra 4 damage when he's this close to lethal.
Dark Peddler is so good in this deck because most of the Warlock cards that he can provide for 1 mana are actually supporting the overall strategy.
Even Mortal Coil isn't terrible because with
Second brawl.
Malygos it's just removal,
Yeah.
right?
But-
Just remove a minion.
Second Brawl is like, all these minions surviving is kind of annoying. And that's even the most annoying, because it's like, now you want to shield slam this.
Yeah.
Well, on the other hand, if there will be Thaurissan, you probably want to deal with Thaurissan as well. And Thaurissan might be even more dangerous than just as a Drake. Twilight Drake.
Yes, and I
Can you
like...
just Hellfire?
Uh,
I mean, because if it opens the Drake up to execute, then that kind of sucks, but then that's both executes gone.
well, now he knows that both Brawls are gone, so he can feel free to extend to the board as much as he wants. And I think he just wants to work on the armor count as much as
Yeah.
possible. And once again, he knows there's 2 more removal pieces that he has to be really wary of, and that's the second shield slam, and that is an execute. Not to mention that he's also wary of, like, what can my opponent, like, 2-turn me with, like, Alex and Grom and weapons.
Yeah.
And now with Grom being used, that's a primary way for Warrior to even pressure. And Big Game Hunter number 2 is relevant because he's tapped through so much of his deck.
Oh, there's Peddler as well.
There's a lot of reasons that I think.
You just slam Peddler to see if you get this Soulfire, right?
Yeah,
well, you
Just because that just alters your game
There's
plan.
no reason not to play it.
Well-
He doesn't get a Soulfire, so...
Leponome for two extra
half
damage.
of a Soulfire. No.
Well, Leopard was-
Voidwalker might be the best for keeping your minions safe against weapon, but Flame Imp will seriously work on the armor count. All right, he doesn't want to take any damage. So Leopardome is kind of like Flame Imp, but just a little bit less damage.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it might be more damage even, because if Yasum is gonna die, then Leopardome is kind of like 4.
Yeah, I can understand not wanting to take extra damage here. But that, I mean, that board's intimidating, and you already used Baron Get, and you already used 2 Brawls. Like, what else AoE do you have?
Look, there's a weapon.
Finally,
That-
a weapon.
That doesn't matter anymore.
But, I mean, if you look at it, Purple recognized that Albert didn't really have card draw, and then he finally played an Accolade, so he silenced it. And it's like, well, I think I'm like 13 cards in my deck, and I think Purple's like about to deck out.
yeah, like, at 25.
I mean, every turn, Purple basically drew 2 cards, and then his opponent drew 1. It's like he's had a mana tide totem this entire game.
And then the Emperor as well. Just being able to Emperor that many cards because of that situation was huge.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
What do you do with
Just
this
taps
Acolyte?
again. Why not?
Yeah, that's fine. The
So
Twilight Guardian is
deep.
pretty good.
With 2 Brawls gone, he can just do what he wants this game. Like, it just doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Just play the biggest
So you just
minions.
throw everything down, clear the durability. Like, you don't... you
Just
won't-
a weapon.
You only
Oh.
need to play Malygos when you have 100%
So
lethal.
sick.
There's no reason to play it before.
Yeah, absolutely. No risk involved. Malygos was
I
just
love
calm
it.
down to finish the game.
I love it. It shoots a scimitar at the opponent's weapon. That is so great.
A scimitar?
Yeah. Is it
pretty
is it
impressive.
scimitar?
Was
Oh,
it?
I
No,
thought
no,
it was
no. I mean, like,
scimitar.
maybe that was a knife, actually.
It's like the old days of Aladdin. You just like duel with him, swords versus sword. Well, in this case, Ragnaros is gonna have to pull off a really big shot, but even then,
It's gonna hit the Leopardome.
it has to hit the. It has to hit the
Chow?
The Chow, I think. Otherwise, he dies.
Yeah, but it's probably Leopardome hit. Yeah.
Oh, well,
and
I
that's
know
right.
it. I know it. It always happens, right?
Wow. You know, this matchup I think is really hard, and Purple feels like he
Yeah.
navigated really well with the help of Albert's poor draws, and that's gonna wrap up the game. What a dominant performance by this deck. This is like one of its roughest matchups on paper.
Yeah, we did talk about this deck a lot, but just witnessing it right now on stream is amazing. How powerful it is.
And Purple played it really well. I mean, the fact that he just baited out the removal on stuff you don't want the removal. Like getting the huge Drake as well was like, well, you've kind of got to deal with it because there's the two, like there's the beatdown aspect and the Malygos aspect, and he just pushed into the board. And the second he saw double brawl, but could then continue to just play more minions onto the board. It's like, I'll refill the board now. What are you actually going to do?
There's just too many threats in this deck. Because as a warrior, you do have the brawls, shield stamps, executes, but then it's like Twilight Drakes, Twilight Guardians, Corruptors.
Well,
is there Lothab even?
I
Like
mean,
Taurison?
I feel like Albert really was hurting because of the lack of weapons.
Yeah, the lack of weapon just made the game run away even more.
Ironic because it feels like in the end it sort of didn't matter because Purple also didn't play minions early on. He just tapped a ton.
I think the only thing is the weapon, Deathbite for example, would have reduced his need to play the two brawls as quickly as he did. Because that's when you're in danger. The second your second brawl is gone, you start getting very afraid as the warrior.
Guys, I've just seen Dragon Wrath.
Yeah,
from Albert.
Reno, right?
Dragon Wrath?
Yeah, I've seen Dragon
Demon
Wrath.
Wrath. Demon
Oh,
Wrath.
Demon Wrath. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just like
It's Dragon
Dragonalbert.
Wrath now.
There's so many dragons, man. But yeah, is it Reno Warlock then?
Yeah.
It
Brad
looks
Broski?
like it should be because Reno Warlock really benefits off, like, in Warlock specifically because all the varied removal. So, I would assume so. Looks like Purple chooses the Mortal Coil just to be super safe here.
Oh, there is Bran and Reno, so half of League of Explorers. Albert is a real explorer here.
Well, it's very interesting. He has Reno Jackson already in hand, and he has a Molten Giant, and most of these Reno decks, at best, have Molten Giant as their only card that has duplicate copies. And he's got some interesting choices. He's got, like, Brand Bronzebeard, for example, so that's very Battle Cry trigger-happy, and things like the Acidic Swamp Ooze as a tech card.
Yeah, I think the Ooze was actually in, like, Brian Kibler's original list that he made, like, really quickly after Reno came out. The Ooze was in there, so this kind of looks like that one, but again with the addition of Bran, because who doesn't like that card doing crazy stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But like, also was popular in Warlock decks to counter some metagame choices before, and especially if you go in the toolbox deck and you need to include a good tool drop, Ooze I think is really fine.
Yeah, Ooze is fine. And in this case, though, it's just going to get traded very easily by the Peddler. And that's two Twilight Guardians, which demands attention here from Dragonalbert, but he doesn't really have an answer.
Yeah, this is the weird situation with Dragon decks where, like, drawing something like Malygos early on isn't as terrible as it is normally because it's a proc for all the other dragon effects in the game, because that card isn't coming down for a while. So the fact that you could just change Twilight Guardians is really beneficial, and also having Malygos early, because you playing Thaurissan is so big. If you get that hit on Malygos, it just completely changes the game.
Yeah, you basically
So
want to
important.
hit. You want to hit. You want to slam Taurison on 6 and hit Malygos at least one removal card.
Wow.
Dark Moment so hard.
Big time draw again. And it's just more threats.
So many dragons.
And you know what? He's got Emperor Thaurissan with Malygos already in hand.
Yeah.
So that's going to make a lot of things really cheap to the point where Reno Jackson is really good, but it can't survive like dying from 19. You're trying to survive when you're down at like 7 or lower and your opponent's really reaching.
It would be ideal for Purple to draw into Dark Bomb or Soulfire, but what can Dragonalbert do here?
Let's see. Well, Demon Wrath, does it have some relevance? You can clear a couple of these dragons, but you still ultimately lose the board because you don't have good follow-up here. So he's just going to play Lothab and probably trade into this.
Yeah, just getting one of the dragons is fine.
But, like, Emperor Thaurissan here is perfectly fine.
You probably don't play it because you don't want to hit the combo parts.
Okay, so he just his hand's not that good.
Yeah.
This is something that probably we're making a couple mistakes because I know some of us were playing this Mally Warlock, and I was dropping Emperor Thorson on curve every single time, but I assume that maybe just you have to be careful of your hand.
Yeah, I think what the point like Nimsh raised before as well is that because you can burst them down from 20, but because this is a Reno lock, if he tries to overextend, uses the burst but doesn't quite finish him, then Reno comes out. So what you want to do is be really sure that whenever he wants, he can turn on that burst damage and finish the game from X amount of health. Whereas if you just played Emperor Thorson, then you get some decent reductions, like the Malygos being the main one, but nothing that guarantees a big burst to sort of hit from a health point where Reno isn't effective to play anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially also because you have the Dark Peddler and you can pick up the Soulfire.
Yeah.
So you do want those cards. No Soulfire.
Shield Bearer. Go.
Yeah, Shield Bearer, I guess.
I was wondering whether you take the Dragon Egg just
Leather
because you
Eagle.
have Hellfire.
Yeah.
Alright, so what do you do with the 4-7? Temple Beacon Hunter. Yeah, that makes sense. There was nothing else.
I mean, you know that he has Molten Giants in this deck and Ragnaros. I'm not sure if I actually like that big game hunter so much. I guess Chow is very counterproductive, but
You do want to pressure though, right?
you do want pressure. But he's not he doesn't actually have lethal possibility set up.
The thing is, like on next turn, he can drop that person, then hits Malygos and Dark Bomb, and on turn 9, he'll be able to cast that Dark Bomb and do damage. So, oh, hit the face. This means that this is probably a big
Huh.
again.
Well, now
He can clear, right?
yeah, he can clear.
How much damage is there though? Because with Abusive, that's 6, and then you do have
Hellfire and
Dark
Dark
Bomb,
Bomb is
12.
another 6, so it's 12. Doesn't
he
look
might-
like it.
He might actually go for the Torison Abusive. So Abusive goes 6 to face, and then Torison, and then he has. But probably.
I think-
Not with the Reno deck.
Yeah, I think
Not
what he
with the
needs to
Reno
worry
deck.
about is if he puts him too low, then he'll just slash Reno, and then
Yeah,
it's like sort of reverses the game a little bit for him. Whereas like 13 at this point, what mana is he on 9?
I mean, now he can actually. He can still Molten Giant and then Reno Jackson.
Yeah.
Which is a really big deal.
Yeah, that's
we
actually
go.
huge. So Reno's coming there.
To be fair though, with this, he still has 7 damage on the board if the Drake trades into the BG. So he goes up to 30, that's fine, but he can put him to 23 straight away.
Yeah, 23 with the upside of
And
like,
drop Thorison this turn.
dropping Thorson.
Because there's a Dart Bomb, right?
Yeah,
So-
but he's still missing like Soulfire. He really wants this second damage spell.
Hellfire is interesting. I think that gives him a full board clear too.
Yeah, actually he
'Cause
can go.
now
for
he
it.
can abusive into the Molten Giant, trade the 3/3 into the 4/6, and then Hellfire. Okay, doesn't really matter. So it's still the same amount.
And he had the early Hellfire anyway, so.
He has the zombie charm, the shooter.
Yeah, that paves the way for Emperor Thorson.
All right.
Bronzebeard, followed by 2 Boombots, or sorry, 4 Boombots. That's what I
Oh
meant to
man,
say.
the Bronze Boombots combo.
And like we were talking about, this is like one of those things where I'm always very hesitant to like drop this big game hunters very early, but I think he was just sensing the opportunity to go really aggressive to go for this kill because he has the Emperor and the Malygos.
I'm just amazed by Bronzebeard. There are so many possibilities, and just for Boombots, it's so much damage.
Yeah, and also this is the sort of the perfect situation you want Brand to be played in. He is not the only minion on the board. It's not like you're playing him like on his own and then hoping you can do something cool next turn. Like you've played him, and there's a lot of other threats on the board. So now with no answer to Dr. Boom, I mean, I suppose the 0/4 is going to soak up all 4 Boombot hits maybe, if he chooses that way, or he could run in with the 7/7.
You can actually steal.
You can just yeah, you can actually just mind control tech.
But then on the other hand, do you really want to steal a zombie chow?
That's true.
No, but if you steal, like, well, how about if you Shadow Flame?
A
Then
Boombot?
you have 11 damage. Well, I was going to say Shadow like Kazan Mystic, which is not going to do much.
Yeah, that's true actually.
Kazan Mystic and Shadow Flame might actually be a pretty good option here.
Yeah, it allows the opening for a lot of damage, and then you've still got the Boombots. And then, because against Malilot, you're not bothered about Molten Giants because they're not in the deck, so you can just push.
Guess what? He wanted to use BGH to Shadow Flame, but he can't actually play BGH because of Dr. Boom on the field.
The steal's really weird.
Oh,
Unless he gets a 5-4.
that's
You
not
got the
good.
2-1.
Yeah, I think you definitely didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. The Kazakh Shadow Flame would have been really nice, actually.
Oh no, that's not a good boom bot. All right, try again.
And again.
Not a good
Oh
boom
my
bot. What
God.
is going on?
Well, that's still a lot of damage. Now he gets a 4.
But with the zombie chow now, like Hellfires, he Hellfires and then just heals.
Well, now he's got Hellfire, Dark Bomb, Mortal Coil, and all of a sudden, it looks like he survived the Dr. Boom pressure. Oh, what?
Oh, just for 1.
I like to report a bug blizzard.
Is this because he got 4 boom bots that they all still have to hit for the
Yeah.
amount that only 2 can hit for?
Quite possibly.
This is huge now because he can just Malygos and then pretty much kill whatever minion he wants next turn with Mortal Coil.
Yeah, that's pretty good, but then you do play your Malygos, so if you lose Malygos, can you win after that?
What's the way to lose? I suppose Reno decks run Siphon Soul, right?
Yes, they usually do.
That's probably the main worry.
Even a silence. Okay, you probably take the coil.
You definitely don't want the Flame Imp. You're just going to
Yeah,
take a
no
lot
way.
of damage.
Blood Imp, go.
Blood Imp doesn't do much. But you did see double Hellfire, and Blood Imp can provide a lot of health in the course of a couple of turns.
I don't think you're playing for that, though. I think the Mortal Coil has more relevance, especially because you have a lot of these mid-sized minions that might need to trade with other things.
Unless you think you're thinking about Fatigue, because they are actually pretty good in the deck. And
Okay, well,
Flame
let's
Imp
do
provides
it.
pressure.
Flame Imp provides pressure, but you also take 3 damage.
And they are at 27, and they still have a heal bot.
If he reduces the cost of Soulfire and Dark Bomb, you're working with 17 damage burst. Yeah, I guess it's okay.
Well, Sylvanas actually pretty nice.
Oh, wait. I think maybe Imp is better for Shadow Flame possibilities.
Yeah. Okay. Alright, so Azure Drake for purple, just continuously tapping.
Wow. And you can Immortal Coil this Emperor Thorson.
Can you just
And that's such a big deal.
Sylvanas Shadow Flame.
Sylvanas Shadow Flame. Gonna take it, and that should lock purple out.
Yeah, I mean, what's the actual? How can purple win?
He still has Azure Drakes, and they can provide some burst, but then Malygos can deal with
25 damage worth of burst.
it. It is tough, especially because there is a heal bot as well.
Yeah, this is really rough.
rough.
I think the key point in this matchup was when it was pushed to 11 health, and then he could actually Molten Giant Reno and get the full effect to a decent enough heal.
So Dragonalbert is just taking the Malygos,
Well-
changing his deck into Malygos Warlock. Suddenly.
Playing the Flame Imp does help. And now with 2 Azure Drakes, 2 Dark Bombs, and Soulfire, that is... How much damage is that? It's a lot.
Now Blackwing Corruptor can also do that, do some damage. If he picks up Brand Bronzebeard,
The bonus here as well is Hellfire actually kills the Malygos.
That's funny. So,
6-9.
And Drax
it's
is
a
only
13
helps
burst.
purple.
It's a 13 burst with 1 Azure Drake. With 2, it becomes 16. And Blackwing Corruptor can also help with that damage pairing too. So
Can you tap into lethal? So it's 6-9, and Hellfire is +8, so it's 17. If you pick up something like a Dark Bomb, you just win. Because you can then just Dark Bomb face, attack with everything to face, and Hellfire for the win.
Is he gonna just throw the Malygos in there?
I guess he's just gonna take it slow though, and he can just play like Kazan Mystic. He's life tapping again.
He would actually Dark Bomb. He could actually win there.
Yeah, he did. He didn't tap first. That's
Always tap first. Unless you're on 2 health.
Yeah,
Probably bad idea.
but on the other hand, like he might not be used to playing with Malygos, so that everything does so much.
Yeah, but
damage.
if you're used to playing with Warlock, and you think you're gonna tap. Okay, so the Corruptor can actually just kill off Malygos.
I can absolutely understand tapping at that point because, you know, Dragonalbert is his first tournament. And when you play versus someone like Purple, you get defensive. You stop playing about, hey, I can just win. You think about,
Try not to lose.
try not to lose. I have to survive this.
A refreshment vendor. That's probably not going to do too much. I suppose it depends what you bother about. The problem with Jiraxis in hand as well, Like that, you can't really play it versus this deck. Because as we said, like he's still not seen the Dark Bombs or the Soulfire, so he still knows there is burn left in Purple's hands. So and he's not under enough pressure, right? So there's just no reason to drop Draxus anytime soon.
And you do expect it really from Malagas, because those are one of the win conditions, so they have to have it. And you've seen so many Drakes as well.
Yeah.
But he is he will continue to play super safe, just clear the board and survive. And
he looks like
Draxus,
he's actually going to coil first to not draw on purpose, because he doesn't want to push over to fatigue.
And well, Refreshment Vendor, even though it heals Purple a bit, it's a solid minion. It's a 3/5.
Reasonable sized minion for combat.
Especially after double Hellfire as well. You feel like your board is pretty much safe for now.
Well, you might have to ride the momentum here with just the Grand Bronzebeard. And no, I guess he doesn't have time. He's got to play Twilight Drake and end this game here.
Don't see Purple winning this, actually. He is... oh, and an Armigal for the...
Yeah, it's pretty good. But, I mean, at this point, he still has, like, a lot of removal options that he hasn't even tapped into, like Siphon Soul or Twisting Nether.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Dragonalbert actually has it in the bag.
Yeah, Reno generally is supposed to be very good against these burst types of decks. So, very strong game here. And I know Purple is going to be really upset to lose a game here with it.
Yeah. I was going to see the Dart Bomb go down onto the 4-1 Drake, just to clean it up. And now he's just really got to think, well, I have so much health. He has no cards left. Can I even die at this point? I won't be surprised if Purple just concedes. There we go.
Yeah, Purple just concedes this. So Dragonalbert is taking another... Oh, this is actually his first win for him. So it's a 1-1 for now.
Yeah, I think Purple played, I think, a little impatient, because if you think about it, I mean, I guess you can also say that he needed specifically his 2 Dark Bombs and his Soulfires. Because that's the winning combination. If you can reduce all 3 of those plus the Malygos, then that's a clean 26 damage. And you know, there's no way that Dragonalbert can always stay at like 30, 20.
Yeah,
and win the game. So.
Yeah.
But it's so idealistic to say, because there's so many things in decisions where, like, if he didn't use Malygos there, maybe he just dies. You know, or maybe he doesn't actually have a good, clean way to deal with the Emperor.
Also, he played Big M Hunter super fast, like on tempo instead of just keeping it for the big creatures.
Yeah, but now he's seen a lot of the Reno deck. He's seen Ragnaros. You know, he's seen, like, the Defender Vargas and a few of those cards that, like, he's like, okay, this makes sense. Did you see the Kansan Mystic? I mean, those kinds of cards, that kind of knowledge does help, because it's like, well, this is how many cards I have to be worried about.
So how does this deck work versus Druid? Druid is originally good versus Handlock. How does it fare versus Reno decks?
It's even better now, because they have less taunt givers, I think.
Yeah, it's really key that the sort of 4 taunt givers to 2 taunt givers difference in the deck's pretty huge. Because with Druid, because they've got the ability to burst down from quite a reasonably high health total, then like even all the extra healing might not be enough. And when you start to force a Warlock or any class really, to play around like a force combo, then like that's when they start playing like really like ineffectively.
But on the other hand, as a Reno Warlock, you don't have to be really concerned about your health if you have Reno and heals.
You got to draw Reno.
But you have to draw Reno, and also there are sometimes small conditions that need to be met. Okay, he has a Molten Giant. So I was gonna say, like, sometimes I've been in cases where I've had Reno, I haven't had a Molten Giant.
I think Brian Killer was actually tweeting recently that he tried playing some Reno decks, and after 12 games, he just checked his decks if he's still having Reno inside them.
Oh, because it's just
that's a great way to troll somebody. If you're streaming with them and they're playing Reno decks, and then they go to the bathroom, you just go swap Reno.
Yeah. So it's like
you put it in like a wisp.
Miracle Rogue.
Wisp. You'd have to put in something subtle, right?
Something subtle, yeah, I guess.
Just a duplicate to make it even
Harrison
worse.
Jones instead.
Yeah, just Harrison Jones.
Wrong adventure. Or you put Elise Starseeker in the future expand.
Yeah, and be like, this card would be good if I had Reno.
Well, actually, with Elise, you can get Reno Jackson eventually.
I didn't take it out.
Play the long game.
I just made it a little harder.
Yeah, you've just got to work a bit harder to draw that card. That's all.
That's
I can't wait for the Golden Monkey. It's gonna be so hilarious.
It's gonna be a highlight video sometime. And the classic struggle of how Handlock ends up dealing with mid-sized minions. Like, he needs Abusive Sergeant for BGH.
Siphon Cell.
Yeah, but then Siphon Cell still gives complete initiative to the Druid, which is fine taking.
Yeah, and this is like like we said earlier, that this is the drawback to this type of deck. That because you're running one-offs, your answers aren't that consistent anymore. Warlock's the best class to do it with, I think. But overall, you still, your chances of drawing something like double single siphon or all the other sort of removals are so much lower.
Every time I see an implosion on a bigger target, I'm like, is there a chance to crit?
That's great.
Same
Or
with
will the target just take 1 damage and go, that was just silly.
It would be so funny if we have like critical hits in Hearthstone. It's like
you want more RNG in
Pyro
Hearthstone,
blast them and you crit and deal 20.
Oh my god.
Alright, well, let's see. Demon Wrath, not really as powerful as it could be, but it might be something worth noting because you can play the Acidic Swamp Boost. The downside of playing the Molten here is that you don't really have a turn outside of Molten, and you're asking to get punished by like Savage Roar.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you need minions to fight back, so it might be the last turn where you can influence the board in some way and not die.
Yeah, I mean, he could have cleared with BGH Shadow Flame, but that doesn't really feel good either. Because you have nothing on the board.
Yeah.
And
Savage Roar is it, and that would have been lethal if he just like didn't Demon Wrath there.
Yeah, that was really dangerous to play the Molten Chant, but
I mean,
I think sometimes though you have to make the play that's like has the most impact on the actual game. Because sometimes you just can't play around cards, right?
yeah, exactly. And you're gonna lose eventually, so. Well, he still has just a 1-1 here. There is Reno Jackson though.
Does he just have to slam Reno at this point?
Is it active?
I think
he has
so,
Molten,
with Molten
right?
Giant.
I think that's the only duplicate he could play. Because we've not actually seen 2 Moltens yet, have we?
He might.
So he might still only run any duplicates.
Yeah, he's playing a lot of threats, so.
I think it's because of how core Molten Giants are to an idea of life tapping a lot.
Yeah.
He's going to play Ragnaros, but if this hits face, that's it. It's game over.
Oh, if it hits a minion, that's really close as well.
No!
Oh, okay.
And he knows.
Yeah.
He knows what time it is.
Yeah, Savage Roar
Just
is finishing the game here.
Savage Roar. I wonder if Purple might ask for BGH.
I think the problem there is like he could have played Reno to survive, but with those 2 minions on board and then the fact that the Druid drop is so good, he would have just Purple would have just dropped even more stuff on the board and threatened with the Savage Roar combo next turn. So the 30 health wouldn't have actually mattered in the long run.
Yeah.
He goes up to 30 and immediately goes back to 22, and then with minions on board.
And then the following turn was 9 mana, so he could have comboed as well potentially.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, Dragonalbert is not out yet. He still has the strongest deck in the tournament.
He has the Paladin, but Purple has 2 chances to take out this Paladin, which I feel like we've been down this road before. Druid and Warrior remaining against Paladin. And Paladin just sometimes just continues to destroy.
Sometimes Paladin.
Yeah, Paladin does Paladin things. So we can see players talking to each other for now. There was our main admin, Swedish, talking with them as well. And discussing some things. Well, we don't know what they are talking about, but yeah, Paladin is in really good position overall.
Speaking about the admin team, actually, like they've done really well. The 200-man Swiss, and it's gone pretty smooth as far as I'm concerned. That's pretty impressive. I've been involved in a lot of Swiss tournaments in the past, and it's not the easiest thing to keep running with so many people, and the way like the timing works as well. With like where you can't just, it's not like elimination bracket where you can actually play ahead of schedule. You cannot move on. Keeping everyone together, playing on time, it's really difficult.
I have to say that from the card player background, normally at those tournaments when you have 200 people, you have much more staff. Like you have judges. Yeah. I think normally you have around 20 people to work with the 200 people setup. And here, we don't have that many, and it worked really well. The admins were getting the scores. The main admin is making good decisions. And we also have the feature tables, and we have Amanda helping us with that. So really good job to the production team and admins.
Looks like Albert was running out of battery on his laptop, so he just asked Dad to bring his charger over.
Yeah, this could be an issue.
It's like, well, you know, and just disconnects, and it's like, well, you didn't bring your own charger. What would happen in that scenario? I guess Purple would win because it's his own fault.
I didn't expect to get far enough for my battery to run out.
That's your own incompetence, I guess, so to speak. Well, we do see the Keeper Voldemort and Peacekeeper, which implies that it's more mid-range, but we've seen some secrets.
Yeah, it's like the slower version, right?
Keeper is so good, you can play it in any version.
Oh, double True Silver is interesting, though, because a lot of Secret Paladin decks now run like, I'd say one's average, and sometimes even none.
Especially if you run Keeper as well. Like, it's another 4-drop that you want to include in the deck. So what do you even cut? Like, double True Silver, one Keeper maybe, one Consecration, double Piloted Shredder.
Oh, man, and he's got Harrison Jones, too. So he's going to be able to deal with one of these True Silvers, or even draw an insane amount of cards. What a draw! That made his hand so much better.
Suddenly,
really
Druid
good.
things. Can the Paladin things
Harrison
work out
Jones,
better than the Druid thing?
Harrison Jones didn't make it to the League of Explorers. That's pretty sad, right?
Yeah,
nah, he's about to collect the 1/3 weapon. I think you want to draw a lot of cards with the fact that you have Emperor Thorson in hand.
Yeah, that's going to build up for like, it's like a perfect set.
If you get an
Better
Innervate,
than Ancient of Lore.
if you get an Innervate, you just slam Innervate Thorson next turn. You might actually.
Maybe. I mean, you also can just curve out Lotheb and Thorson.
Yeah, it's still pretty good.
No Quartermaster, which is the only scary thing for Purple, but I don't think he can afford to play it slow by like hero power wrapping.
Well, no swipe as well.
Exactly, so...
Is
one
this
of the
deck
things that
definitely
Purple's
Secret Paladin?
There is an Innervate, so now the question remains.
I think you have to, right?
Innervate...
Innervate
Emperor?
Thorson, yeah, because it gives your hand so much quality after that.
It does.
Wrath for one.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a point in which you say, well, Thorson's definitely dead next turn. Really easy for the Paladin, but he's reduced so many cards that just do it. It just has to be done. It's so valuable.
Well, Purple disagrees with you. So Lotheb is still a good card. He goes for Aspirant to have even more mana crystals.
Wants more minion fighting here.
Yeah.
And Keeper Voldemort is reasonable. Helps you fight on board, keeps a 3/1, and lets you only trade once to recruit him.
At this point, you might think about keeping Keeper as a removal card as well. So it's...
He could play the Aldo, right? Onto the... Is that worth? Is he bothered about 5 damage? Or what will effectively be 3 damage with the heal?
It's true, but it also continues to make Lotheb somewhat relevant. Unless he doesn't want to take that much damage.
Yeah. I just think like the problem is, as you said, he might want to keep the Keeper to actually kill off a minion. Because the difference between that and Aldor is that Aldor just lowers the attack, but the health is still there. Whereas it actually just puts 3 health, sorry, the Keeper, so it's quite easily removed.
Well,
wow.
Well,
he's going to
drop
reduce
Thorson now?
Force of Nature, Savage Lore.
yeah, that's pretty good.
Purple's kind of acknowledging that he's getting some really nutty draws here. Because he's just like, wow, growth on right on time. And just before the Thorson door closes, he gets a Savage Lore squeezed in the last seed.
That's the second Keeper, by the way, so that's interesting as well. I'm really curious how good Keeper will be in the coming days, because the card looks really good.
I think the flexibility in the card makes it really strong, and that combined with the fact that it's in Paladin, because you play so many, just your tokens are enough to make a card good, but a lot of decks are running it there that run Creeper as well, so there's so many targets to buff up.
It actually works really well with Super Champions, so I wonder, do you even cut one Shredder?
Oh, that's going maybe a little bit crazy.
I would
Everyone
say
loves
that
Shredder.
the card you cut are things like Murloc Knights, Sword Champions, and maybe you don't run Blessing of Kings instead.
Yeah.
But you definitely want to keep Consecration. And
Yeah, one Consecration at least.
Yes, so I would assume that you probably end up replacing those, like that Murloc Knight instead.
Yeah, and Blessings. Makes sense.
We haven't seen Murloc Knight much in this tournament at all, in fact. Alright, so both True Silvers have been exhausted, and with this second muster, that's going to make swipes really good. Not to mention that he's got a 7-mana Force of Nature Savage Roar. So he picks up another Savage Roar, and that means double combo will always be relevant here.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any
22.
reason to just swipe face twice with combo? I suppose you're scared of people, right?
To telegraph that you have.
Yeah, to just say,
Exactly.
by the way,
Yeah.
to be fair, do you not think the Harrison and all of the card draw would have just auto
Yeah,
like,
there's a high
the guy's
likelihood.
got combo.
Well,
like,
it does, but then your opponent goes defensive. Like, if you double swipe face, your opponent's like, oh, it's coming. I know it's coming.
Yeah, that's
He has it.
put the fear in. That's what you need to do. Pressure, man.
One thing that is also really scary is that Purple has access to a Keeper plus Force Nature Savage Roar, so even taunts at late stages won't effectively stop it.
So do you just swipe?
Oh, I thought he was going to BGH here.
Oh, innovates now.
Yeah, BGH this down, and then just...
He's
I
just
guess
creating a board
he-
that's so hard to clear, and if he doesn't clear, he's dead.
Yeah. So many minions. Just even an innervate.
Wow! He's got Innervate, which means he can even do other
He can
more
do whatever
stuff.
he wants.
Yeah.
He can just do whatever he wants. It's done.
He can Wild Growth for an answer, and then Innervate, Keeper,
Double combo.
These boom bots have to be pretty nice.
Nice.
He needs to clear everything, right?
No, that's not it.
No, yeah, it's kind of over.
No, he's
Yes,
gonna
Sludge Belcher.
he's gonna Belcher, and then he can.
Oh, but he can just
You can
silence it.
swipe as
You can just
well.
silence the
Let's
Belcher.
Just silence the Belcher.
But he wouldn't die to just the silence Belcher. Like he has to go to 14 health if that was the case.
No, because can he kill both minions?
Yeah, if the Boombot trades.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He needs the boom bot to clear, right?
There we go.
Oh, so that is just game.
Wow.
Yeah, that's silence combo, 20 damage to face.
Yeah, he's playing 2 BG.
And he still has Innovate. Innovate
Jesus.
hero power, why not?
All right.
Well, that was a
so-
good run for Dragonalbert, but he also has it, so he made it far.
Yeah, and it's just kind of heartbreaking to see the way this goes. Looks like he's pretty pissed. He was talking about crushing Purple, but it's like for this day, age and superiority, or sorry, wisdom
Experience.
is superior.
Experience is massive.
Well,
If this
there's-
is his first tournament versus Purple, like, there's definitely a point there.
He did really well, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed casting his games. I would love to cast more in the future. And there is no shame losing to NA champion, and Purple is your winner, and Purple advances to the top 8. So
Yep.
another great player entering the top 8, another known name.
Yeah, fantastic job here from Albert to get that far. But I think when you look at some of the top players who advanced from Swiss, you look at Purple being one of the favorites to go really far here. And his Malagos Warlock deck is he's not even playing Paladin. He's just bringing this deck because he thinks it's legitimately one of the best decks out there. So job well done there to Purple. And
Yeah, I mean, he actually
he's gonna
told
go
me
to
when
top
we
8.
were casting, he actually said, because I said, how much prep did you know this Malagos Warlock was going to be so good? He said, well, I went on ladder with it for 80% win rate for like a week. So it's like, yeah, I think it's good. It's like, oh, okay. fair
That's
enough.
actually
That's
amazing.
a pretty reasonable win rate, right? It's
Like, for me, amazing thing is that Purple was so chilled coming to this tournament, and he was like, even while waiting, he just casted one series with us because he was like, yeah, I can do it.
I've got
It's
time. I've got time. Why
He
not?
doesn't- yeah,
Like,
he's just relaxed
yeah.
and not worried about it because he's put in the time for sure. We're going to move on to our last series of the day, guys. It's going to be our last round of 16 match, and then we're going to close out the day pretty strong here in the DreamHack Winter Grand Prix. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after this break.